There's a character on my screen right now, dyed blonde hair, dropping the First Amendment mid-conversation, doing the worst American accent I've ever heard. And somehow, she might be the most honest character the 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You has given us all season. Now, this one got under my skin a bit more than I expected it to, and by the end of this, you probably get why. Welcome to the first entry of a long-running series on how our experiences shape us as people. We're going to break this one down across 4 chapters. Having a person's entire childhood built around a role she was never interested in filling, without a care in the world as to whether or not she wants to fulfill the imposed duties that come with such a role, isn't a very appealing prospect, is it? I really need you to grasp the gravity of what this confinement did to her so as to take anything else I say seriously, particularly because this character can very easily be passed off as a trope or dismissed as comedy filler. Nadeshiko is introduced in her backstory as the heiress of the Yamato family. Her parents have placed her in this role where she is forced to learn how to play the traditional Japanese koto while wearing the kimono. She didn't choose to do any of this, it was just assigned to her. The misgiving part here is that her parents don't really care about whether she wants to do this or what she wants at all. None of what she does in her daily life is up to her. She literally isn't even aware of the concept of choice. It's all framed as though her mother has the inherent right to decide how her daughter's life will be, and very clearly insinuated that, according to the mother, this is what it means to be the heiress of the family. It's important that I make a clear distinction here. This is not an attack on the tradition, but really more about how a sincere tradition is enforced on a person as their very identity. This is honestly treading some incredibly thin lines which I will not be naming. The storehouse punishment scene exemplifies this even more. It's suggested that Nadeshiko failed during koto practice and her mom decided to lock her up in a storage room at the back of the house so she can learn her lesson. That room itself is symbolic of how her life is, confined both physically and mentally to something she did not choose. Immediately her mom leaves, she says this, "I don't even like playing the koto." In that moment, I realized we might have something worthwhile on our hands here. This was the first of many times we get to see her natural response to that artificial mask her parents forced on her. Something pretty ironic happens inside that room. The very thing that was designed to keep her confined becomes her first real exposure to the concept of freedom. Nadeshiko finally discovers what freedom is for the first time. She learns of its very existence. It's necessary for you to understand this so her character transformation later on actually tracks and doesn't feel like a personality swap, but deservedly as a direct result of her experiences and one specific incident. After her mom leaves, she asks herself some rhetorical questions. Why must I be forced to wear a kimono every day? Why must I be forced to take these lessons every day? Because I was born heiress of the Yamato family? Because that's what it means to be Japanese? She then finds a box of American movies just stacked around her. Conveniently, there is a TV inside as well. Don't ask me how, plot is plot. Naturally, she indulges and starts watching them. Now, this isn't rebellion yet. She just discovers through those movies what it means to make a choice for oneself within the 4 walls of that storage room. While watching one of those movies, she sees some kids drinking Coke, eating snacks, and then she says, "I had no idea people were allowed to be so free." What more needs to be said after that? This was the first time she identified her situation as confinement in the first place because she now has something to compare it against. We as viewers might have known, but this child had no idea that something very important was being withheld from her. All she knew was that she didn't like doing the things she was told she's supposed to do. But now she knows. She knows there's a world out there where people are allowed to do what it is they want, to do the things that make them happy. You don't know your cage until you see outside the cage, until you realize there are people out there just walking around without any iron bars surrounding them on 4 sides. After Nadeshiko discovers freedom, she inevitably pursues it, but there was a very heavy price to pay. I want you to actually know the weight of that price so you realize she earned the right to be as free as she became. She adopts American culture heavily. She dyes her hair blonde, works on her accent, though it's still quite terrible, and copies American phrases. She does all this in a very exaggerated and expressive form. Her parents' response to this was quite predictable. They kick her out of their house, practically disown her, and label her an embarrassment to the family. Her freedom doesn't come for free here. A significant price has to be paid. The very family that raised her, the people she's lived with, her parents, the ones she would expect unconditional love from, decided she wasn't worth anything if she didn't do what she was told, if she didn't embody the traditions they adore. This is when the whole shame narrative that you will learn more about later on begins to form. Her family discarded and calling her an embarrassment engraves this false belief in her that she is a disgrace for choosing herself. When she meets Rentaro and the whole spark thing happens, they fall in love and she asks him out. He figures out that she's Japanese pretending to be American. This terrifies her, and then she says to herself, he would never want an embarrassment like me as a girlfriend. That's the false belief in play, the one her parents planted in her. It's not baseless by any means, but practically the only outcome when you properly look at her entire life story. But this is different. Rentaro is different. Rentaro plays a huge part here because he is the architect of the one moment when Nadeshiko's true self is acknowledged externally by another person. This will give the confession scene actual weight and substance, instead of having it just look like a standard rom-com tropey setup. After her confession, she asks Rentaro, I'm a Japanese girl posing as an American. Don't you think it's shameful? Again, she's internalized that narrative her parents concocted. But Rentaro's response was immaculate, and it really sealed the deal on why Nadeshiko's very short character arc was so impactful. He says, what's so shameful about that? This is the first time in her life that anyone, at all, hasn't pressed her to defend her very self. It's the first time anyone has allowed her to be who she is. It's the first time an external party has told her, be free, be who you want to be. Nadeshiko had been free for a very long time. She had seized it in that storage room from her parents, but no one had ever acknowledged it. The one thing missing was someone telling her that it's okay to make that choice. It's okay to chase what it is you want. To be free is to be human. You do not need to abide by those rigid imposed customs. Her parents made her defend her very existence. Rentaro, on the other hand, with a single sentence, created a space for her to be who she is, for her to feel at ease and settle, rather than needing to constantly justify being true to herself, being free. She was deprived so much of autonomy that when she actually got it, her entire identity was curated towards its most flamboyant version. From having herself confined to doing things she had no interest in, to then gaining freedom, the very thing seized from her, and making use of it in the most exaggerated way possible. That, my friends, is how our experiences shape us as people. If you made it this far, you most likely enjoyed it to some degree, so go ahead and subscribe and look forward to more content. By the time the story moves on from her arc, Nadeshiko has settled all the way into herself, loud, blonde, badly accented, completely unbothered by people who used to be able to make her feel odd with a single look. And maybe that's the real lesson here. You can want freedom your whole life. You can already choose it the day you dye your hair and pack your things. But it feels so much better when someone acknowledges that version of you. That's not to say you need them to. It just helps a lot. She'd already taken her freedom herself in a storehouse with a stack of borrowed movies. What Rentaro gave her came after all that. He looked at her truth and never once asked her to explain herself. And this is something that is extremely interesting, and kudos to the author for doing it. Her name is Nadeshiko Yamato. That's the actual Japanese term for the personification of the perfect, idealized woman. Beautiful, graceful, devoted to family and tradition above everything else. Everything she experienced in her childhood, everything she was punished for failing to become, all of that existed within her own name. Nadeshiko Yamato wanted to be and became the exact opposite of what it means to be Nadeshiko Yamato. This has been Tambe Bryan. Thank you for watching.